I am Alastair and I'm the head of Gardens and Landscape at Castle Howard, where I've been only for a year or so now. Our typical day starts at 7:30 in the morning. We all meet as a team and we talk about the work for the day ahead, and then we divide into groups to go and carry out that work. The day is very varied depending on the season. This time of year there are a lot of bigger, heavier jobs. For instance, we cut down a tree this morning and tidied up afterwards, and we're grinding out some stumps. Some machinery needed fixing because it had an unexpected diesel leak overnight. We have been moving some houseplants around this morning and checking greenhouses. So it's very varied work, but all to do with living things, really, plants. And we manage quite a large area. In spring, obviously, there's an awful lot to do. The grass has started growing, so there's an awful lot of mowing. There's a lot of weeding to be done. Hopefully by that time we've done our mulching and pruning. Yeah, I suppose in summer there's an awful lot of mowing of lawns, deadheading of roses, edging of lawns, tidying paths, spraying weeds off in paths, picking up sticks that are blown out of trees. In autumn, of course, the leaves fall and we've got to tidy those up. We have to put all the borders to bed so that everything looks tidy, and we prepare for the year ahead. And then winter, we deal with snow and frost if it comes. We have to salt the tracks so that everybody else can get into work. We've made our plans by that stage, hopefully, and we execute preparations for the year ahead. My right-hand man in this case is the head groundsman, Neil McCullough. He has been working here for 31 years, so he knows a lot about the place. He is my deputy, and he also knows a great deal about looking after lawns. So he really is responsible for helping organise the groundsmen. There are a number of people who've been employed as groundsmen, and their chief concern are sort of the larger jobs. So that's lawns, that's leaf clearing, that's the big hedges. We've got a lot of hedges here, apparently about 3 miles of hedge. And then we have people whose role is more oriented around gardening. So where we're standing now, they are the ones with maybe more kind of sophisticated horticultural skills, or so we hope. They also manage the greenhouses, propagation, growing of plants for the year ahead. So there's a division within the team, but we like to also work as a team, and for the very big jobs, that's what we do. So the advice I'd give to somebody trying to head into horticulture, or specifically garden management, would be to start off with practical work. I started off in a garden centre. The best thing I think for a person to do is to start off doing the practical work. You can learn the theory later, but if you don't have that practical grounding, it makes it a lot harder. The best thing to do is to try and find either a garden centre where you can start working with plants, or a nearby garden, if you get a part-time job maybe for summer, and see how you enjoy it. I mean, once you've been working outside for a while, you learn to love it regardless of the weather. Really, you get accustomed to that. So you've got to have that passion for growing things, really, for gardens, for open spaces, for the great outdoors. And you've got to sort of find routes. There are a lot of different routes you can take to get into it, actually. There's no real set way, but a practical part-time job would be the best way of starting, and then building on that. And a country estate is a specific kind of beast, if you like. It's a very varied place, and you find yourself in situations you won't necessarily have anticipated beforehand. So I've worked in places like this before, and where there's a long history of gardening and estate management. One of the beautiful things about country estates is because they haven't changed a great deal over hundreds and hundreds of years, you'll find that actually there's a great deal more wildlife than you'll find in most sort of suburban or even some rural situations. There'll be ancient trees, which are wonderful. There'll be bird life, and there'll be some very old, very beautiful plants. The most wonderful thing about Castle Howard is the variety of landscapes. Castle Howard has the advantage of having rather a dramatic landscape around it. And so it manages to be slightly wild and dramatic and rural, But then you come into a place like this and it's formal and elegant and beautiful. It's the sheer variety of it, the spectacle. It's unique.